Are you ready for a new difficult example? Here it comes. So the goal here is to extract every word that is not a variable from an interpolated string. So what is an interpolated string? It is a reference to software engineering and programming and writing code. And an interpolated string is something like a string, and then it has some characters, like in our case, it will be hashtag, open curly parentheses and close curly parentheses. And this combination of characters is actually intended as something else rather than normal string. Okay, so anything that comes here is actually a variable in our programming code. So it doesn't really matter what we put here. Imagine that this is a variable and the program would get the variable's value to input into the string. So it is not really relevant. So let's have a look at the examples. Imagine that we have these four strings here. Our objective is to extract a word that is not a variable, and a variable is delimited by a hashtag, an open curly parenthesis, and a closed curly parenthesis. So as you can see in these examples, right? And what we want to extract from the first example is the word the variable one is. So four words. For the second one would be the variable two is. For the third one would be all the words here, the variable is something. And for the last one, the variables are and. So we should skip B and C. Okay? And how can we do that now? Damn. All right. So first of all, we start by what we want to match. As always, start by the base. And what we want to match is actually a word that can contain one or more alphanumerics. And we know how to do that. It is a backslash, lowercase w, and a plus sign. So as you can see, it matches any word here. It also matches our variables. Unfortunate. So now we need to make sure that the word we capture doesn't have a follow-up curly bracket and doesn't have a uh, an hashtag and curly opening curly bracket or parentheses before it. Okay, and let's start by the look ahead. Okay, so we need to confirm that there is no curly parentheses ahead of us. And as previously in our previous examples, we already know after doing that how to use look aheads, positive look aheads like masters. And we define it with a question mark and equal sign, and we don't want to use a curly parenthesis. Okay. Oh, that is a positive look ahead. We actually don't want to use it. And to not use it, we need to use question mark and exclamation mark. Okay, nice. And now we move to the before part. As you see, now we are not mentioning the R here actually, because after R comes the curly parenthesis bracket. Sorry. So now we need to also not match if something comes before our word. And for a negative look behind, we use a question mark, a lower than sign, and an exclamation mark. So the real difference between look aheads and look behinds in syntax is the less than sign. Okay, so what do we not want before our word? We do not want a sequence of hashtags, hashtag, and opening curly bracket. Okay. Uh, well, this regular expression seems quite correct, but as you can see, it is actually matching an A in the variable name. And we do not want to do that. It doesn't match other cases because it only contains one letter, okay? And that one letter has hashtag and curly parentheses before it and a closing curly parentheses after it. But A doesn't have that. It has a letter before it and a letter behind it. So we don't really want to match that either. And how can we do that? Well, You might think that we could add something like \w here, and now it matches R. Unfortunate. Well, anyways, let's move to to a real solution. And we need to rethink what we actually don't want before our not non-variable word, and that is a a hashtag and an opening curly brackets, but we want a word between them. So we don't want to match just one character of the word between them, right? So what that means, we can fix this issue by adding something to our regular expression. And for example, it would be we also don't want to match a word character before it. And if we do it this way, it doesn't work because this is an or. For the A case, for this letter A, we don't want to match if there is a curly brackets before it or if there is a letter before it. So what we need to apply is an or operator, or we could actually apply a character class. And if we apply a character class here over hashtag and opening curly bracket and add a \w there, it no longer matches, right? So why doesn't it match? Let's see. So it goes, let's look at our regular expression and apply it to the first example here at the variable part. It goes to the hashtag. It is not a word character, so it moves. Curly bracket is not a word character, it moves. It goes to V. V is a character, a word character, and it checks before it. So there is no word character before it, so it passes, but there is a curly bracket, so it doesn't pass. It goes to A, and now it checks for the word before it, a word character, and it doesn't pass. Oh. And then it goes to R, and it checks for a word character, and it doesn't pass either. So we might think that if we actually remove this, it will work, right? And you wouldn't be wrong. Now, oh, why we should actually apply it? So let's write an example, another one, to trigger this issue. Okay. It continues to match everything we want, as you can see. But now if our variable has spaces in it, it doesn't work, okay? So if we apply this, it doesn't work, it doesn't match what we want. We need to also change our negative look ahead, and we can also apply a character class and tell them that we don't want to match a word there. How cool is that? Now everything that we want is actually matching. This is a tough one. It is not easy to understand, but hopefully you got it. Well, if you write such regular expressions, I will be really proud of you. Next lesson, let's have a look at another tough example. See you there.